Hello, everyone. It's Brian here with more recent finds for October 2025. But oddly, I'm going to start with a failure to purchase. So I have been searching for a copy of Peter Murphy's Silver Shade on vinyl since it came out back in May. And I've looked at all of the record stores I usually go to. I've checked websites of other ones in Toronto, and no one seems to have it, and I can't really understand why. Of course, Peter Murphy is or was the lead singer of Bauhaus. I don't know if they're still a band or not, because I had tickets for their last tour, which was canceled. So we'll see. But in any case, a new album came out, and I haven't even read the reviews. I haven't heard any tracks yet, so I've been trying to find it with no luck. I did notice that it was on Amazon for about $70, which I thought was a little high, but I have my Amazon wish list associated with the Camel price watching service, so you get an alert when it meets your threshold of price. So I got an alert one day during the Prime Days Deals event from Amazon. So our Amazon is Amazon.ca, Amazon Canada, and despite the fact that I like to support local shops, I decided to order it because I didn't see how I'd get it any other way. I guess I could have made a special order request, but then who knows what the price would be. So I ordered it, and well, it was just kind of a disaster because in the past, when I've ordered from Amazon, usually things work out well. Sometimes the record comes in a record mailer, sometimes it comes in a box, sometimes it's in a mailer inside a box. I had one case where they put the mailing label right on the shrink wrap and it was destroyed in shipping. I had another case where they put the record in a plastic envelope. I sent it back 3 times. It took me 4 records to find one that wasn't ruined in shipping. In this case, it came in a box, and I thought, great, it's in a box. I opened the box, and it's not in a record mailer inside. It just has a piece of crumpled paper, and I knew right away that it was damaged. The corner was significantly damaged. It looks like it had been dropped from a height of 5 or 6 feet, or maybe more. And not only that, the shrink wrap had been opened. Someone slid open the shrink wrap, and I don't know why they did that. Maybe they were looking to see if it was damaged, like the actual vinyl was damaged. So I noticed that the one of the inner sleeves was also split. So I don't know why they sent me this. When I did the return, I put in the comments field, why did you send me an opened, damaged product? Of course, they don't reply to these things. So I did the return, which involves printing out a label, putting it back in the box, taping the box, taking it to a place to have it shipped back. They wouldn't give me a replacement. They said I could only have a refund, so I took the refund. Then I checked their inventory, and they have it still. It went back up to $70. I noticed that, so I don't know why they didn't replace it. So subsequently, it's come down a bit more, but not quite to what I paid for it. So I'm going to continue to look for it, and we'll see what happens. But I was kind of irritated by that. So they're kind of a strange company. They don't have consistent packaging processes for things. It's very, very weird. So I don't know. They must get a lot of, stuff sent back to them. Anyway, on to the actual finds themselves. I have 3 records and 3 compact discs today. But first, let's talk about a digital album that I purchased. So you may have already heard this, but Mike, our friend at PC31, the Vinyl Policeman, his band called Of Gods and Men released a new record in 2025 called The Stare. You may have seen that. Mike, Vinyl Spiral, talked about this record. Maybe others have as well. And I went to the Bandcamp page. I'll put a link below if you want to also go to the Bandcamp page, anticipating buying the vinyl, but I have to say that in Canada, we have 2 major disadvantages in terms of shipping. So one is shipping charges. Anything that goes to Canada it's crazy. So the record's only £25, but the other problem we have is currency exchange. So when you factor in those 2 issues, the vinyl to be sent to my house would have been pushing $100, which would have made it by far the most expensive record I have ever purchased. So as a sort of stopgap, I did purchase the digital files, and we'll see. I'll see how it goes. I would like to have the vinyl. It is also available on compact disc. So currently I have the digital files. And I'm going to give this record 10 out of 10, 2 thumbs up. It is a really great record. It's a band from the Portsmouth area where Mike lives. If you read the Bandcamp description, it talks about their influences being Spear of Destiny, The Sound, Nick Cave, Joe Strummer. And those all make sense because Mike, if you've watched his channel, is a fan of all those artists. So I was really pleasantly surprised by this record. It grips you with the first track. I think the lyrics are interesting. The guitar work is great. It's very well produced. It sounds good. So I encourage you to, at the very least, visit the Bandcamp page, have a listen, see what you think of it. I think it's really a really well done record, so I really approve it. You know, in terms of genre, it's obviously a rock record. I think it says it's post-punk, indie, maybe a bit of grunge. I've never been clear on what exactly post-punk means, so but it does sort of sound like it does sort of fit into that category if I think of other bands that are called post-punk. Anyway, really great record. Feel free, go over there and have a listen. Now, I'm going to talk about the records I got first. I'm going to start with a thrift store find. And I rarely these days find anything good in thrift stores. I have in the past. And one thing I noticed is that whenever I do find something good in a thrift store, oftentimes there's a lot of surface noise, but it's a strange phenomenon. Maybe people don't care for the records or they handle them badly, but this record is pristine, pretty much, plays well. And it's one I never owned before. It's the Boomtown Rats Mondo Bongo from 1981. Now, I have other Boomtown Rats records from before this and after this. And weirdly, this one just passed me by. So I don't understand why that is. I missed it entirely. In fact, I didn't even recognize, well, apart from one track, I didn't recognize the titles. So when I read the Wikipedia entry, it mentioned that the single was Banana Republic, but when I played that, I had never heard it before. So I did recognize Straight Up, but the track that I did recognize is Under Their Thumb, which is a sort of cover version of the Stones song with new lyrics. By the way, I think this is an ugly album cover. The design and the colors are so ugly. This is also ugly. Let me show you the inside. Lyrics on the inner sleeve, which is still intact and not split open. And here we go, Mondo Bongo from 1981. And the other thing that's interesting about this is that the poster is still in here. So let me open this up, this giant poster. There we go, kind of crazy. But yeah, still intact, no pinholes, no tape on it, and still in the package. Now the question is, do I like this record? And honestly, I don't know. When I read the Wikipedia entry, they mention or they reference 4 other reviews, which I will just quickly go over. So obviously, a band from Ireland, a new wave band from Ireland, rock band. So NME referred to this record as hollow pop, quaking under a plethora of poorly integrated rip-offs. Sounds Record said it's self-indulgent and lacking in depth or emotion. On the other hand, Rolling Stone said an intoxicating mixture of pop and punk, and Trouser Press called it an enormously enjoyable LP with hardly a dry patch on it. So I'm not sure. I've only listened to it once. If you're a Boomtown Rats aficionado, I'm curious to hear what you think of it. It didn't impress me the first time, but sometimes you have to listen to records more than once, obviously. But I didn't hate it. I just wasn't sure. But yeah, this album cover doesn't do anything for me. Now, the second thing I picked up was this limited edition King Crimson double 10-inch record from 2018 called Uncertain Times. So there is a really unsettling photo on the cover, maybe a little bit better one on the back, and then in the gatefold, 2 really strange, I guess these are paintings. This is a really interesting limited edition thing that was a good price. So it has only 4 tracks, 1 on each side. So it starts with Red from the forthcoming album Live in Mexico. It's got The Letters, an older track from the Live in Chicago 2017, Circus from Live in Vienna 2016, and then Lark's Tongues and Aspect Part 2 from the Blu-ray Radical Action. Now clearly these are going to be digital recordings, but I will say they sound fantastic here. Now this is the era of Crimson post-Adrian Belew, so I don't really love the vocal stylings of Jacko Jaksic. Musically, though, there's nothing to fault here. The songs sound really incredible and enjoyable. I don't like his singing. I think King Crimson, their best vocalist was Adrian Belew by far, in a way, and I don't know. It seems like a Seems like a strange choice after Adrian Belew, but it's really good. The sound is good. The mastering is great. It sounds really good. Now, I haven't compared this to digital or CD copies, but it does sound really spectacular, if you ask me. There's nothing to fault with the musicianship here. And the records are, as I said, two 10-inch records, which use those images in the on the labels. So probably there's no reason to own this if you have the other CDs, unless you're a King Crimson completist, which I am not, because there's just so much stuff. I have some of the collector series stuff and other things, but I don't have everything. I don't aim to have everything. It's just impossible, but this was kind of hard to pass up for the price that it was. And from 1985, the 14th studio recording from Tangerine Dream called Le Parc. And I would call myself a casual Tangerine Dream fan. I have some other records, I have some CDs. I think I like the earlier stuff better. I mean, by this time, it's still an electronic record. I think some people accuse the band of becoming a new age band, which is interesting. This is the last record featuring Johannes Schmoling. It still has Chris Frank and Edgar Froese, but Johannes moved on. I do have some of his solo work as well. Now, this title and the album is inspired by various parks around the world, so you'll see them listed there. So parks in Paris, New York, Barcelona, Berlin, Kyoto, LA, London, Sydney, and Yellowstone Park in the Rocky Mountains. This is a German pressing. I do like it. I can see what some people say about, these pieces are shorter, for one thing, and they're sort of, I don't know enough about Tangerine Dream to know if they're moving in a sort of new age direction, but I guess I sort of see what they're saying. This is a pressing out of Germany. So yes, I do like it, but maybe not as much as some of the earlier work, if that makes sense. So that was a good price, and I guess if I find Tangerine Dream records at a reasonable price, I'll probably get them. And this I thought was a reasonable price. Now for compact discs, let's start with a Canadian indie rock band called The Weaker Thans. Indie, I guess the indie's overused, but the guy, is it Jack Sawyer? I think his name is. He used to be in a band called Propaganda, a Canadian punk band, and he went on to form this band. So this is live from the Burton Cummings Theatre in Winnipeg, recorded in 2009, released in 2010. Burton Cummings is from Winnipeg, if you didn't know. And it has the concert CD and the concert DVD, which I believe is also on YouTube. And I would say this is really good, a nice encapsulation of their career with a lot of songs that if you're a fan, you will recognize them. Pretty good tracks. So I think that's really good. And as opposed to the records, the Boomtown Rats record, I forgot to say, these are from a thrift store. Boomtown Rats record was $2.99. The CDs were $1.99. So $1.99 for CD plus DVD, I thought was pretty good. Now, an album I've had on record for years, and that's the Gang of Four's Entertainment, the debut release from 1979. Their band from Leeds, of course. And this is the cardboard sleeve version that came out, in the 2020s, I think. Comes with a nice little booklet here with images and lots of writing, and then I think lyrics as well. So that's pretty cool. This is the expanded edition. So in addition to the actual record, I'll show you the CD on Rhino. In addition to the actual original album, it features a number of bonus tracks like B-sides and singles, and then it has a couple of live versions, a couple of alternate versions, including a live version of the Velvet Underground's Sweet Jane. So that's kind of an interesting thing to have. And although I have the record, I picked this up because I do listen to digital music in the car. So I will put this on my MP3 player for when I'm driving around. And the last CD I got, also for $1.99, is from a band I mentioned 3 or 4 videos ago when I found 2 of their extremely hard to find records in Canada. That is the Church Sometime Anywhere from 1994, I believe. This is from 1994, yeah. So I'm really a fan of the Church. I think they make some really interesting music. This is the booklet. with some notes and photos, etc. This is the double disc version. So some of these were released as a single disc, and some have a bonus disc. So this has the bonus disc here, which, you know, I don't really know where these songs are from, where these bonus songs came from, but I can tell you that I've listened to this a couple times and I think it is spectacular. So it just sort of solidifies or makes me think that if I ever see anything else by the Church, I would buy it without any questions. Like, this was purchased with not knowing a single track, so I would find them to be, they go into the category of unquestioned. If there's an album I see by them, I will just buy it if I haven't heard it. So that is everything I have for you today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.